Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of Straight Up Show Podcast. I am your host, Calvin. Hey, if you're out there right now, I want to say happy Pride Month, everybody. It is a brand new year, Pride Month, and we here at Straight Up want to say happy Pride Month to all you all. This is kind of crazy today because this is the first Pride episode that we've done that I'm riding by myself. So this is kind of some uncharted territories, but I'm excited to have this Pride Month and do this by myself because I have my own personal story about Pride, and we'll talk about that later. But I have missed y'all. It has been a couple of weeks since I've been out and about. I've been away from work. I've been away from home, and like I had COVID. It finally caught me. I had the Rona, and it got me. So today, if you're listening right now, I'm still battling with a little the part of the post-COVID, but I'm here. I'm here right now. So my gang's not here with me, but they're here in spirit. So, but today's episode is our Pride Month episode. You all out there have told us that Pride Month has been our Pride Month episodes have been some of the best that you like, and so we cannot do this without another Pride Month this year at 22 without doing another episode. And I think today. I want to go ahead and go on a limb and say today's episode would be one like no other because it is personal to me, and our guest today is kind of personal too. So I can't wait for y'all to meet her. But this episode is about pride, and as most of you know, our co-host, our co-founder, our partner, our producer, whatever hat he has, Lee. Shout out to Lee for putting this together, but. He is part of the LGBT plus community. Me and Lee talked about our relationship. We worked on news together. We worked on studios together, and how a time in his life he didn't have somebody to care for him the way he wanted, and he was going through a dark time. And he came back to the newsroom and was like, excuse me, guys. It was like, I can't wait to go get married this weekend. And of course, all of us cheering him on. And he said that, you know what? Oh, I'm getting married to a man. No, I was like, who's the lucky girl? And he was like, well, I'm getting married to a man. And it was at that time that, because I'm still a Christian, but some of the things that the Bible teaches us is to love. And I think that when I heard him say that and knowing him personally, to see that he was excited to marry somebody that loved him that like nobody else did, that made me look at things differently. And since then, that was almost 12, 13 years ago. Since then, I have learned so much about the LGBT community, their struggles and things like that. So here at Straight Up, we want to say, once again, happy Pride Month, and that, love is love and love who you want to love. So happy Pride Month. Now, today, tell y'all what, today is going to be a phenomenal episode. We get really personal in here. So I want to talk about today's guest today. This person that I know, I'm learning to know, and just a short amount of time knowing this person, we've become very close. We talk almost every day, and they have an amazing stories. They just their personality is one that I'm trying to push out there because I think the world needs to see this person. But today's guest is a good friend of mine. I want to tell y'all, today will be a day you remember. But my guest today, help me welcome Miss Jessica. Jessica, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me, Calvin, and happy Pride Month.
Happy Pride Month. And like I said, once again, thank you for coming on our show. I know this is it's a crazy month, and I know that you got a busy schedule. So I want to thank you so much for calling us and coming on today's show. And
well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
And so Jessica called me by, we had to take a second because she called me by my it's my real name and my nickname, and a lot of people don't get away with that. So I had to edit this out. So I won't discuss my nickname but real name. That some of y'all don't know, Charita, that made all my friends call me this nickname, real name. But but that's kind of how personal Jessica and I are. So Jessica, a lot of people don't know, this is kind of where we're going to jump right into it. Okay. So Jessica is very unique, and she is part of the LGBT plus community. I always get this wrong. LGBTQ plus community. I probably would still
Yeah.
mess it up, but Jessica's part of the community. So, Jessica, can you tell us just right now, like, what part of the community do you fit in?
So I am the T in the community, which would be for the transgender part of
Trans.
the LGBTQ. Yeah.
Yeah, I always get that messed up. I always say LGBTQ. I gotta like put it on my finger. One, two, three, four, five. I get all like so. But yes, Jessica is part of the LGBT. She is transgender, and you know what's crazy? When I first met you, like I did not think that you were a transgender. Like it just it blows my mind like how much that you look like a full woman, and it just like wow, like you are flawless and you looking good, and so
Oh, was that?
I mean I'm serious, you looking good. And obviously, I'm pretty sure there's a lot you can tell us about this, but you know, I'm glad, me personally knowing you, I'm glad that you are who you are because, like I said with Lee, he had a long time of dealing with people like, and finding love, that was crazy. So let's hop right into it. So you are transgender. How long have you been on this journey? And, when did you start knowing that, this is what you wanted to become?
Okay. Well, I I started my journey when I was around 15. I just knew, I knew that I was not male. I knew that I wasn't a gay male either. And I started the medical process when I was 18, 19, which would be, the hormones and then later on the procedures to complete the the whole transition process.
And so this happened around 15. So you just knew that something was different, or you just didn't like, you weren't interested in certain things, or how did you just specifically know?
Well, I've always known that I'm attracted to men, you know, which is my sexuality, but my gender, um, that's something that over time I started discovering um, while going through puberty. You know, I I know a lot of people have different stories on how they find out, but me personally, the only way I can explain it is that I just knew. Like I just knew on the inside, you know? And it took me a while to figure out like, what transgender was, how far you could go with it, what was possible and what was not possible. So, slowly, um, I reached the point where I was ready to, take the steps in it because, it's a long process. Some people, they get certain things done. Some people don't. Some people take the hormones. Some people don't. Some people go all the way. Some people don't. And it's all your personal choice, of course. I went all the way though.
And we're gonna talk about you going all the way here in a second because this is straight up. We don't hold anything back, and we're very open and we're very accepting as well. I want to go back to you being in high school and being 15 and stuff like that. Like, was because nowadays it's kind of hard, but like during this transition in high school, was it tough, or were your friends accepting, or they understand, or I mean, how was that process in high school?
Well, when I was in high school, I guess I was lucky because there was already like a big uh, oh, awareness of it. You know, um, there were like there were like two gay people. There were a lot of lesbian girls. But I was like the first. I guess you could call. I guess back then they would say like cross dressing, transvestite. Like we didn't really know the lingo, but like you had like the lesbians, you had your gay people, and then there was me.
So most of the time, your friends were accepting of who you were.
Everyone was very accepting. The teachers were very respectful. Um, there were some people that would say, some comments, but nobody actually came up and did anything about it. You know what I mean? Because like I stayed in my lane, and like, but I also defended myself, of course.
Mm.
I wasn't very like problematic or like looking for fights. So, my high school life wasn't like very hard.
Mm.
What was hard was dealing with it at home with family. But when it came to school and friends, they were the first ones to be accepting of it.
Now you would think that, your family, they would be as accepting, but how was that like? I mean, because I would think the complete opposite, that your friends wouldn't be accepting, but your family would. But how was that like?
Well, back then I didn't put myself in, my mom's shoes, but I was her only son. So, it would be hard for any parent, you know? And it's harder because, it's not like right now where, there's so much education on being transgender. Like it's in on TV. It's when you scroll on Instagram, it's everywhere. So back then there wasn't. It was very taboo, and like, you know, the school barely knew, what to say about it. So like I didn't blame her, but like I just tried to be patient with her, because in a way I was like taking her son, you know what I mean? She already had a daughter, and she was getting another daughter, and it's hard. It's hard to, when you transition, people forget people transition with you, and that includes your family. It's a transition for them too. So um it wasn't easy.
And think about it like that. That's wow. I didn't think about that. Like, and was there ever a point to where your mom kind of knew that this was going on, or just that she can kind of tell that, because I know, especially in the black community, they like you say, "Oh, that boy gonna be gay," just come out and
Hmm.
just, it's not. First off, it's kind of hurtful, a little bit, but they would, how can I put it? Just they know, but they kind of make it worse, I guess. You know what I'm saying? Or does that make sense at all, or what?
Well, I come from a Latin background, so I understand what you're saying. There's like the machismo in the culture. um I just I knew how it was going to be. I knew that it was not going to be easy, but the focus was for me to know who I was, and start that journey. And then like the support I know would come from them. It was just like if they're not educated about it, it's not their fault, but that would be like my job to educate my family. That's how I see it.
I'm pretty sure that you get a lot of questions every day. I know you do, and we're gonna have so many more questions. But so you went from James to Jessica. Like, I want to know. This is a question from Lee. Like, how did you pick your new name? Like, where'd your new name come from?
So a lot of people have the luxury of choosing their name. You go through your, what is it, the name of books, and like, it's like symbolic or and all this stuff. But I didn't get to choose my name because when I was already to the point where living as a woman, I had a I had like a little side job, just a waitress, and they were very supportive too, but they were like, you can't walk around and say James, what I'm saying? It was like, people are there to eat. I didn't want to be a distraction. So they were like, do you have another name? Do you go by anything? And like I couldn't think of anything because I just the name thing, I had gone by many names, but like nothing stuck. So then they were just like, we're Jessica, just Jessica, and like it just stuck like glue. And ever since that day, like when I got to the point of me legally changing my name, there was no, I couldn't choose anything else because people had already called me, you know. that. So I guess it was meant to be, you know.
But kind of how some of y'all who are close to me, I don't go by a certain name, man, because one person called me this one name, and now my new friends like Jessica have adapted to calling me this name, and so I'm getting used to it though. But yeah, man, Jessica, you have an amazing story, and I can't wait for you to tell us more. We're gonna have more with Jessica and Pride Month on the other side of this. I can't talk today. My bad. And we're gonna have more with Jessica on the other side of the break. Make sure you stay tuned. This is the Straight Up Show podcast. Happy Pride Month, everybody.
Think straight up means to be able to speak in a way that is straight up, to be honest, and to speak your truth.
Raw, uncut, you know what I mean? It's blunt, you know, straight to the point. This is what it is.
It's just a place to be open and honest, and that's what I appreciate most about it. And it provides a place for community members to come together and just be straight up with each other about things that are going on in the world, because it affects all of us.
Unfiltered, raw, with all the cursing that Calvin does.
Straight up is just being real, telling it like it is, you know, being you.
Being solid, being who you are, no matter what it is, no matter what situation you're faced with. All right, this is who you are. It really speaks to me, saying it is what it is and it ain't what it ain't. Straight up.
2 years that Straight Up has been a podcast, we've gone to where most podcasts have never gone before. From multiple celebrity guests to groundbreaking episodes, Straight Up is changing the podcast game. And now that season 6 is finally here, we plan to continue leveling up with our exclusive season 6 merchandise. That's right, grab your 80s retro inspired merch today. Just visit our website at straightupshowpodcast.com. That's STR8 upshowpodcast.com. Shirts as low as $19.99. All right, welcome back to the Straight Up Show podcast. This is our Pride Month episode. It is we're having a good time today. I have my co-host today. She's filling in. She's our guest, co-host, friend, homie, whatever you can say. But Jessica, once again, thank you so much for coming on our Pride Show episode.
You're welcome. It's an honor to be here, Calvin.
Yes, man. I know it's so weird to hear you call me Calvin. That's so weird, but you know. But anyway, so thank you so much. I'm sorry. Like I'm telling y'all, it is so weird for her to call me Calvin. I feel like it's like, like if you calling a teacher by the first name, like, what you just say?
It's a form of respect,
Yeah, form of respect, But Jessica, we're having a good time. Thank you so much for being vulnerable enough to come on our show and talk about your experience as a transgender woman.
Mhm.
And Jessica, she's been through a lot, and she's already educated me on some things about the LGBT community and her transition. So just kind of catch you all up. She started feeling different when she was 15. Then, around 18, she changed the name, right? You started doing everything. And then tell us, when did you start making changes to your body? Like, when did you say, you know what, I'm going to go full on, like, you said you were a waitress at a restaurant, and you couldn't call yourself James, but when did you started making changes to your body yourself?
Okay, so I didn't have a lot of transgender friends growing up. Maybe like one or two. We would kind of talk, the internet was not big back then. I think MySpace was the thing, you know.
Yeah.
So we used to go down to Santa Monica. I think it's Santa Monica, like around West Hollywood, and I would actually go with my friend, genetically born female, because I had questions because I was ready to get my body done. I had no idea how it worked pretty much. So I would go to these clubs sometimes, And, the girls were beautiful, from head to toe, body completely done, face just immaculate, And of course, I asked questions, a lot of them would advise me, like that they knew somebody that did, what they call pumping parties, which is the black market silicone. They could put it anywhere in your body to add volume. You can't subtract with silicone, but you could add. So back then, I'm like 5'6". I was like 140, 150 pounds, very thin. Didn't really have a lot. Still cute, but just didn't have a lot going on. So I was gonna do it. And they never picked up. Thank God. And later on, I heard stories that like the person, like almost, killed someone, and it wasn't even silicone at the end. So then it got to the point where like I stood back like, okay, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it right. So I actually started asking my regular girlfriends, like not regular, but you know what I'm saying, like not transgender, but naturally born female. And I went to the surgeon and I would ask, like I want to, augmentate the breast. So we started off with that. Um, After that, I had a rhinoplasty, and then I did have a BBL. I had a liposuction, and then I also had a sex reassignment surgery. You know, not in that order, but that's the list. Everything was done by a legitimate doctor. Um, Very safe. Very safe completely. Um, it was not like right away. By the way, everything was like a couple years, apart, of course. And I'm so glad I did it safe. I'm so glad I didn't do anything illegal. I'm so glad that when I started hormones, I also had a doctor check my blood pressure, my kidneys, like your blood, your cholesterol, like all that goes into, because a hormone is a steroid. Do you understand?
Mm,
It's a steroid, you know.
mm.
So it's funny that I was going to start off risking my life to get the body I wanted, and I feel almost like God or the universe didn't let me get pumped because I wouldn't have been here by now.
Mhm.
So
I remember there was like a video of like a botched surgery, and the lady's boob was just like. Remember the video I sent you and her,
yes,
and I was like, when I showed you, and Jessica and I have a mutual friend, and me and the mutual friend, we were like, and Jessica was like, oh, like, that happens. I'm like, and you didn't
it
even
happened.
flinch, and you didn't even
It
flinch. I
happened.
was like, wow, you just not gonna flinch. This is happening. You just. I'm like, to us, it was like, but then
I mean, look, when you're at a birthday party, not all the balloons make it. At the end of the day, some of them are gonna pop. So that's why you go to a good doctor, and you're safe about it, of course. But it
yeah,
was very scary to see that. Like
but
if you had work done and you see that, it's impactful, of course.
yeah. And I think for you, it's just like, you knew the risk of what that person was probably going through, and you still, so that didn't phase you. So you had all this done. You had the the boobs, the butt, like, and mind you, I just found out what a BBL was because I knew you. I didn't know what it meant before. You know what I mean? And like, and
Hmm.
sadly, not even like a week ago, I just found out what BBL stood for. So I just always heard, I would always hear you say it, but I never knew what exactly it was. But then I
Hmm.
knew the acronym like not even a week ago. So it's Brazilian butt lift,
Yes, it is.
where they
Yes, it
transition
is.
the fat from your body and put it in your booty.
They
Right?
transfer the fat.
Transfer. Yeah. Yeah.
They can take it from anywhere in your body.
Mm,
They don't just stick it right away in your butt. They harvest it. So they take out the bad fat. It's like a pulp.
mm,
And they take the good fat and they put it, places where where you'd like it.
Mm,
It's not just the butt. You could put it on your face, on your lips, and it's your own body. So, most of the time your body is gonna accept it.
mm,
You know, it's when you have a unknown object that it can it can be rejected. So
mm.
I just always thought that was a safer route than the silicone.
And this is outside the interview, but I want to know because we have a mutual crush, I guess. Iggy Azalea, is that real or fake? What do you think?
I think I think it's very I think it's really beautiful and really high maintenance. I'll just leave it right there. Okay.
So you're not gonna say if it's real or fake. You're just gonna okay. Dance around the question. I get it. I get it.
She's one of my girls. I can't.
Yeah, I know.
Does it
But
matter though? Does it matter?
for some people, you saying people can like, not all the balloons make it to the party. So but no, so we have Jessica here today. She's telling us all about this. So you went through all these surgeries, right? And
Mhm.
from 18 until your age now, like how long do you think that it took for you to, I guess, be satisfied to be in the full womanhood of what you want to be?
So what I want to make clear is that I felt like a complete woman before my body work. Like in my mind, I know who I was. I knew like how I wanted to be seen and how to carry myself. The body is just what goes along with it. I wanted to look a way that to me would make me live more happy mentally. And it's like I tell people, it's okay to be vain. It's okay to be vain to some extent. You know what I mean? Sometimes a little vanity is what um, doesn't let women let themselves go. You know. So, but if your question is, did I feel physically like
Mm,
completely beautiful after
mm.
all the surgeries? Yeah, I felt like a woman the whole time. I just didn't feel like an attractive woman. If
Okay,
that answers the question,
I
you know.
got you. Yeah, thank you, thank
But
you for.
once the body work is done, I felt like a confident woman. You know, I felt like um, I felt good. I felt
Mm.
good. I felt like the mind and the body the connection they talk about. Being in one.
This is the tough part. Do you think that had you not done all the surgeries, would you be as happy uh, being transgender?
Um, I I'm gonna say probably no because I think there's two types of transgender people. I think there's people who don't need the sex change and they live happy. They're fine. They're they're brave and they're strong, in my opinion. And then there's people who they just can't. They can't live with their body like that. And that was me. If if I wouldn't have had the work that I've had done, especially that big surgery, no, I think I would be um very depressed, you know, very incomplete, definitely incomplete.
All right. So speaking of that surgery, I'm pretty sure when somebody hears transgender, they ask that question: Do you still have it? Do you not still have it? You say that you do not have it. What can you tell us about that surgery?
Okay. So I would say in my life that is going to always be the $1 million question for people, you know. Um and I'm not mad about it. I understand. I completely understand, you know. We're talking going from like A to Z, you know. Not even A to B, Z, like completely the opposite. I think that you need to get counseling if you're considering it. You have to, you have to go to therapy. You have to also, you cannot do it for a man or a woman, you know? You cannot do it for anyone but yourself. I also think you need to do it when you're older. Definitely when you're older. Um, I think that there's amazing surgeons out there, you know, but for something like that, definitely talk to insurance about it. That's how I did it, you know. My insurance covered it, and they did everything that you had to do. You know, the therapy, the blood work. You have to be a certain weight for it. See, people don't know about all this. You know, you you have to you have to be. I could be straight up in the show, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You have to be fully developed, fully developed. And when I say that, I'm talking about, I think people that are over 18 should do it, because what people don't realize is in order to have a functioning vagina, you need all the all the parts, you know, because that's how they make it function to the point where you can feel arousal, where you can urinate, where you can live a healthy life, you know. You know, a lot of people use the term cut off, and they're actually not cutting anything off. They're recycling it in a way, you know? Because, you know, your nerves are your nerves. There's no nerve implant. There's no clay implant. No, they whatever you come in with, it's what they're gonna use, you know? So, you know, when people are younger getting it done, I um I worry. I worry because, you know, I'm not sure what age they say that you stop growing, like your body, you know? And I just think like if you're under 18, you're not developed, you might not have enough skin. Maybe you don't have enough skin, they're gonna have to get skin from somewhere else. That could be a complication, you know? Um, and you also need to have um support. You know, you need to have your family, maybe a husband, a friend. You need to have someone support you, because for 7 days, you're going to be isolated from the world, you know? And people think that the physical part is the hardest, but to me, the hardest part was sitting there. Um, my family came, you know, my boyfriend at the time came, but, you know, no one stayed the night, of course. And it's that thought where you sit there and you're like, I actually did it, you know? And you have to learn to work with your new body all by yourself. And that mentally is going to be the hardest thing.
Thank you so much for being vulnerable and answering that question. Two follow-up questions with that. I didn't know that that's all it y'all you have to go through. You know, here in Texas, they're making a law to where parents will be arrested, doctors will be arrested for giving any kind of medical treatment to transgender children. Would you say that giving kids hormones at a young age, would you be against that if they're trying to transition, or would you still be on the fence and saying wait until they're 18 to make that decision?
I think that, you know, it's always going to be a parent's choice. Every parent is different, you know. Um, I know a lot of people want to start their kids young on hormones because if you cut puberty, you will look more the gender you want to be with the hormones, which might save you the trouble of getting so much surgery later on. So I need people to know that's the reason why. They're trying to nip it in the bud so that, you know, like if you don't develop fully into a male, you'll look more female, and you know your life would be a little easier because it's a shallow world out there, but I personally feel like, you know Caitlyn Jenner transitioned so um smooth for an older person. I did it when I was 30, you know so it's never too late. I just feel that with kids, make sure there's if you're gonna do it, make sure there's a therapist. Make sure there's a therapist. Make sure that um a family unit. Um Hormones, I would say you could use maybe the puberty blockers. That's a lot safer. But adding the estrogen, I would probably wait until they were closer to 18. I'm just saying because at the end of the day, it's it's your child's safety that matters. And I know a lot of people might be like, well, it's possible, and of course anything is possible, but you as a parent, you make that decision. But I just think around 18ish, 18, 17, it's a little easier mentally for you to know what you want and what you want to do. You don't have to start hormones as a young kid to start transitioning. People forget that. You can just start, dressing the part, slowly working your way into it.
Mm.
Um Getting the family to, like I said, family and friends transition with you.
Mm.
The medication's going to be there, the surgeries are going to be there. There's no rush to do it. Like, slow and steady wins a race. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
And
that's,
you definitely have completed your marathon, and Jessica and I, we talk about this almost every day, right? Just
mhm.
about the struggles that you've been through. And um so you said when you had your surgery, you had your boyfriend with you at the time. How has you being transgender, like even pre or post op, how has your love life been since you have been transgender?
So I'm gonna say it was rough in the beginning. You know, it's you're never gonna truly be like 100, like a natural born female. That's just a fact. I'm not trying to hurt no one's feelings. We have to be realistic. Um, but I just think that if you're if for me, I had to tell myself I'm a special type of woman, and a special type of man is going to understand, um, try to learn, and it will work, you know. Um, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, now that I've gone through all the changes, and like I'm dating, like my problems aren't really you know men having an issue with my body or anything. Like, they become woman problems. I'm still waiting to get a text back. Okay. I'm still trying to, see, if I connect with you mentally, if you have something going on for yourself, you know? So that doesn't mean that, there's still gonna be that one person who's like, it's not for me. But that's where you have to maintain strong and say, just because I'm not for him, it doesn't mean I'm for nobody, you know? So once you have your surgery, um, I mean, I'll just say, putting it out there, like, I haven't had an issue physically with men. I would just say it would be just like, the normal troubles of dating, of like finding the one. But before the surgery, yes, it was very hard. It's very hard, and once again, you have to put yourself in their shoes. Like, you see a whole woman, and then down there, and some people can work with it. I couldn't work with it. just because like I just could not have a normal sex life that way. I just couldn't, you know? And once I had it done, and this is speaking for me, you know, things became a lot easier, like no regrets at all.
Yeah, and I tell this to you and anybody else that's going through this. Like, don't look at you don't look at the rejection, but you look out for your redirection. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So like, it's just, that's not it. So wow, I didn't know a lot of this stuff, and it's Pride Month, and being your friend, you're making me proud of you. So
Oh,
uh I'm being serious. Being my, knowing you my friend, and knowing that you can speak like this, and you're making me proud and Proud Month. So we're gonna have more with Jessica on the other side of the break. Make sure you stay tuned to the Straight Up Show podcast. The videos and images displayed all across the world cannot fully express what the people of Ukraine are going through. This senseless act of terrorism has cost many their lives and forced millions of Ukrainians out of their homes. Yet it's the Ukrainians' pride and resiliency that has inspired the entire world. So we here at Straight Up ask you to stand for freedom, stand for human rights, but most importantly, join us as we stand with Ukraine.
Straight Up, we know that all lives matter, but historical events have shown that there is an inverse power dynamic between the races in our country. To highlight this, we present our Black Lives Matter merchandise, because let's be real, some of you don't seem to understand that this isn't the organization, but a message. That message: end inequality towards minorities in America. And just in case that's too complicated for you in English, we have the phrase translated into 10 different languages. Visit straightupshowpodcast.com for this and all our other merch. That's STR8 showpodcast.com. Shirts as low as $19.99.
I'm Sultan Salahuddin from Southside 62 out right now. Make sure you tune in to the Straight Up Show podcast, because that's where it's happening. You dig?
Welcome back to the Straight Up Show podcast. I'm your host, Calvin. Today I'm joined by our wonderful guest, Jessica. Thank you once again for coming on our show today.
thank you for having me, Calvin.
Yes, man. That's so weird. But the here you call me Calvin. And I ain't telling none of y'all my nicknames. So just y'all, Charita, if you're out there, this is all your fault. But no, thank you so much for coming on our show. Jessica is a transgender woman. She's a good friend of mine, and she has been telling us stories about her life and transitioning, her love life. It has been a lot that you have been through, and yet here you are, standing strong and personality. And where you are from is somewhat of a small town, and just to see anywhere you go, it's just like, not because you're transgender, but you got personality anyway. But people is just like, and I'm pretty sure you get looks all the time, and you get people trolling you. And I didn't today. I found out. I've always known about you. Having worries about going places because you are transgender. But I spoke to our producer, and he kind of validated what you were saying. That just it's right now, even though that people are being more accepting, it is still scary. Can you tell us about why it's scary, and some of the things that you've personally been through, the hate that you may have received for being transgender?
Definitely, definitely. I'm gonna start off when I was younger. Um, before, you know, she looked as good, but polished. You're gonna say polished, okay? Um, I was in between jobs. it was very hard to find jobs because when I got to the point where I looked presentable enough, you know, um, my name wasn't legally changed, you know. So I would go to the interview and I would wing it. But then it's like you got a sixth sense, you know what I mean? It's like they ran my information and then like I would be honest with jobs. I'm like, look, like, you know, like I was this Jessica now, you know, but I really want to work here and I'm here to work, you know. And I got the whole like, well, we're gonna call you back, which was really like and translating to like it was because I was trans. I mean, I was, you know, I was like 18, 19, you know. I had transportation. I had experience with food. Like you can't give me a reason. You can't give me a reason why, you know. It's like we're not hiring at the time, but they have like a big sign right there, you know. So getting work was very hard. It was very hard. The job I had the longest, I actually got it because I didn't tell them. Because I was like, I'm trying to find work, you know what I mean? I didn't tell them until I signed my name and then bam, I was like, well, I'm hired. You know, so if you're trying to fire me, then you know, we're gonna go another route, but she's gonna get money regardless. Okay. So,
Their
you know,
money.
just give me my apron and let me start working, you know.
Yeah.
And so and I was blessed. The job was very supportive. They were great. But that's one struggle. Going to the club was a big struggle because I had beautiful friends. I had beautiful friends. Just made me. I was kind of awkward looking. You know, it made me stand out there. Um, just social events. You know what I mean? Like some men would come up to me, and if they didn't know, like it was embarrassing because like I had to go through it publicly. You know, online I don't really get people to say anything. Um, plus, online everybody wants to be a gangster, so whatever, you know. But like now, like in the stage I am, I don't really go through things. And, I also know where to go though. Do you understand? You need to know where you can go and where you can't go.
Right.
Like people think like, once all this happens that I'm just gonna like zoom in and out of wherever. No, like I'm still not gonna go to like, like a dark alley. You know what I mean? I'm still not gonna go to like where I know someone like me could get killed or hurt, you know? And it's just the reality of the world, you know? It's just the reality of the world. So
And why do you think that people are are targeting transgender? Because like I never understood that kind of hate.
I think it's because, there's a big concept of, well, you should tell me, you should tell me before you try to date me. But then some people are like, I want you to get to know me and then I'll tell you, which I can understand both parts. But I think this is just my mentality, Um, your life comes first before your pride. Your life comes first. So if they're not gonna accept it now, you know what I mean? Like a lot of people are not going to accept it, but your safety comes first. It's not going to be worth the 2 minutes you might have it with this man. You know what I'm saying? It
Right.
might not be worth the two dates that you think are going to happen, you know? So you got to be selfish when you transition to the point where, like, am I going to be okay? Is this going to be safe? Is the group of people, once I went out and they outed me at a club, right? And they're like, oh, she's a man. And so are the rest of them. All three of my friends that, are mothers, okay? And I
Right.
was like, I put them in danger. Do you know what I mean? And you know, I will never regret my life. I I know that it's a risk, but I also told myself like I'd rather die as a woman than die as something that I'm not,
Right.
you know.
Mhm.
But in general, I don't want to get hurt. I also don't want to hurt people. I don't want to deceive people.
Mhm.
So I I know where I know how to stay in my lane, you know. But I think in general, people should know where to stay in their lanes, you know.
For those people who, because and I tell you all this all the time, like, you are one of the strongest people that I've met before. Just to hear you, what you say, and just how you just always like the boss hog everything, and uh, great personality. But there are people who are somewhat of your same shoes, is not as strong as you.
Mhm.
What would be a message to them, or those who haven't come out and being themselves? What is something that you can tell them, like words of encouragement?
You have to accept yourself. You have to love yourself, you know. Um, you have to. You have to before you get into anything. You have to love yourself the moment before you step outside the door, you know? Because like trans or not, especially now, like people are gonna attack you just for looking good, just for getting a better job, just for driving a better car, you know? So you just have to like accept yourself, love yourself, and I don't know if this is like a bad thing to say, but like enjoy your environment, but also don't forget your settings, you know?
Yeah,
Alert, you know?
that's some hood stuff too, though. But that's some hood stuff too. Yeah, but that's real talk though. But um, and one more thing, and this is kind of how I always say, f the haters. Uh, for people who like, first off, like, does it offend you? Because me and like we had this talk last night or today. I'm not for sure. Uh,
Hmm.
but does it? Because what is your pronoun?
So my pronouns are she's and her, you know?
Mm,
Um, it's very simple, you know, it's just
mm,
very, like I said, you know, like, you know, I'm I'm living as a female. I
mm,
feel as a female and like to me, a lot of people have their pronouns, you know, the way they want them and everything. Um, totally respect it, you know, but
mm.
for me it's, you know, it's she, it's her, you know.
Does it bother you if people get it wrong at all?
I mean, you know, like you can't I can't understand why I would want you to call me him.
Mm,
I can't understand it. I can't understand, especially like um if you know my story, you know, like there's some people who know my story and they're still going to say him or he. I'm
mm,
like, oh, it's because you know the problems with you. You
mm.
you have a problem. Just you know, I don't know if it's what do they call
Self
what
hate,
is- what do they call when it's when people aren't like you know with their own sexuality. You know what I mean?
like
It's within
comfort.
yourself. It's
Right,
within yourself. You
right.
know, like
Mm,
for you to be comfortable in your sexuality.
mm,
You know, so I know if you're gonna call me him or he, you're attacking me because you're mad.
mm,
You're mad you should be getting a job. You're mad because you should be going for that girl you want to be with. You're mad because you haven't gone up and done something with yourself. You know what I mean?
mm,
But you know, I also I'm not someone who wants to fight. So, you know, just hearing that word, I'm gonna walk away, of course, you know.
mm,
But like what you're trying to do, it's not gonna stop me from living my life, you know, because
mm,
if that stopped me, I wouldn't be where I'm at now, you
mm.
know.
And that's what makes me mad. Like people, they get super mad at you, then they want to call you out your name. You know what I mean? Oh, well, you used to be a man. Like that stuff makes me mad.
Well, see, people don't have to call me at all.
Mm,
People don't even have to come up to me in the beginning. That's the thing. You don't have to. You're going out of your way, you know. You're going out of your way, because I'm not going out of my way to come for you. I'm too busy, you know, getting my life together. This is why I think for the most part I'm genuinely happy, you know. Maybe
Mhm.
if I wasn't happy, I'd be attacking people, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
So what for those people who kind of, I guess, because me, I'm straight, and there's a lot that I don't know about transgender or the LGBT community, but I call myself an ally, right?
Mhm.
What is something that you can tell people who are, I guess, against learning or just ignorant to the fact? Like, what would you say to those people?
If you don't want to learn about LGBT, then you don't have a right to give an opinion, really, you know. You just, I mean, what you don't want to learn, you don't want to understand, and there's two ways of going about it, you know. You don't have to accept it, but you could just respect it, you know. Like, people need to understand, like, I don't need people to accept me. I don't need them to believe my story. You don't have to. But if we're walking down the street, then you don't need to, you know what I'm saying, like, attack me or be rude, or do something crazy, you know. You could just walk around me. That's how I see it, you know. Now, if you have questions, you know, everyone has a phone. Google it. If you're too embarrassed to ask someone, Google it, you know. Or if you really want to get into the mind of someone and want to know it, then if you're lucky enough to know someone like me, you know, you can have that conversation. But it's all about respect. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? Because, you know, to give respect, you got to get respect. So
You must respect me a lot because you know I ask you some off the wall questions. So
most of the time, you know, most.
I ask you some off the wall. I'm curious. I asked a bunch of questions, but
But you know
uh,
what? Power though. I'd rather you ask me, you learn about it, so that when you're out there, I can be proud to say, you know what, like, he knows.
mm,
He, you know,
mm,
you know what to say, what not to say. And most of it, it's really basic stuff, you
mm,
know? It's very basic, you know. If that person wants to be with a man and identifies as a woman, then, you know,
mm,
make happy. It's very simple. If you can't call them she or her, then just don't call them at all. You
yeah.
know, call them by their name. Call them by their name. You
Yeah,
know.
and Jessica's right because like what she's saying is so true. Because like the questions that I want to ask and I'm scared to ask, she's like, oh, and just answer it so calm, like it's nothing. So don't be scared. So uh Jessica, thank you for coming on the show. You've done a phenomenal job. Before we go, you know, we're gonna have some fun with this because it's Pride Month.
Okay.
And I hope y'all are hearing how prideful she is, and so before we go, I just want to know in your definition, and I ask this every year for our pride episodes, what does pride mean to you?
What does pride mean to me? You know, no one's asked me that before. Actually, no one's asked me that.
Okay.
I must look prideful. You know.
Mm.
Okay, pride to me. Pride to me goes. Um, it's not just LGBT. It's just, you know, be proud that you made it. Be proud that you made it. No matter if if you're not exactly in the transition process you want to be, even if it's just one step, which is like, I barely came out today. Be proud of that. If I barely took my first hormone pill, be proud of that, you know? Or I finally realized just who I am. Be proud of that, you know? Like, be proud of every step you take to find yourself, be yourself, and be happy, you know? The sometimes it's a beginning where you need to have the most pride to get to the end. Just a thought, you know. Mhm.
So happy pride.
Happy.
um So this question is I'm gonna use this last question because I knew I told my producer, I said,
Okay.
don't make me ask her this question because I know she's gonna have a field day with this.
Okay.
So who were some of your favorite influences? Yeah.
Influence,
So don't
like in
even, yeah, or general or just like what we always talk about. Go ahead and go for it. The mic is yours. Go ahead and go for it. I know you're gonna go off.
like people who influence me.
Hmm.
Okay, well, I love me some Kim Kardashian. Okay, I love Kim Kardashian. I know. But to me, I see it like a way to a businesswoman. Okay, how about we leave it at that?
Okay.
As a businesswoman,
Like
as a way
get
to
off your butt and do your job.
exactly. What did she do? Um, like she said, I know a lot of people think they're distracted by everything else, but you know, but she's there and she's made it, you know? So that's one. My other influence would be Amanda Lepore. I don't know if a lot of people know who she is. She's an icon, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
She's one of the most famous transsexuals in New York. She was a model for David LaChapelle. She was like one of the first people who had a complete sex change, and she just left a small town with one suitcase and just, like I said, it's not just that she got her body and everything together. She got her life together and she lived her truth. So that's another person. And let me see who else. I mean, it's just, to me, it's just anyone that shows me that you can make it, I guess. Anyone that shows me that they can make it, that um not every transgender story has to be like a sad story, or
Hmm.
like a murder or something, like, or like a scandal. No, it doesn't have to be.
Well, like this is my go-to because like it's Pride Month, so you want to celebrate Pride, So,
Hmm.
I do music. I make all the music you hear on the show and on the broadcasting. All that's me. I make all that. So, for Pride Month, I want to say mine is Sylvester. Sylvester. And just to hear his music or her music, sorry, and just to hear how they did it in the '80s. So that's who I'm celebrating this Pride Month, is Sylvester. May he rest in peace. Uh,
Hmm.
but that's mine. So, man, Jessica, uh, wow, we did it. You came on the show. We broke some barriers today.
Right. Took a while for me to get here, but I came here. Yeah.
Came here, yeah. So, once again, thank you for coming on our show, being vulnerable, uh, and coming on Pride Month. And I wanted to, and Christina might not like this because I kick her off my show all the time, but I wanted to extend the invitation for you to come back and talk to us, maybe outside of Pride Month. Maybe you can educate us more uh, about the community.
If she's not booked and busy, she might come back. She might. No, I would love to. I would love to. Like, um, if you are making the effort to learn, that's progress, and
Mhm,
that's another reason to be full of pride.
mhm,
Remember, pride is, it's for everyone. It's for your friend. It could be your uncle. It could be your mom, your sister. Because anyone can be going through it.
mhm,
So it's just about, I just want to say it one more time, just accepting yourself, no matter how long it takes, you know, and just because once you accept yourself, it's just uphill, you know,
mhm.
it's just uphill. Mhm.
Well, y'all see why me and her are friends, because definitely inspiration. And I think that like me and you, when we talk, we always like piggyback off each other, like just
Mhm.
So I like that we got that friendship, and I'm glad that you're able, my friends, but our community is able to see you and what I see in you. So if y'all are listening, y'all are missing out on a great person. Y'all see how great she is, and y'all see why she's one of my good friends. So, Jessica, thank you for coming on Straight Up Show podcast.
Well, thank you for having me. I hope that this, if it just helps one person, or if it helps a billion, it's so worth it. And thank you for for yourself wanting to learn, and I'm very proud of you. I'm very, very proud of you.
She gonna make me cry.
Tissue, please. Okay.
All right, y'all, that's the end of our show. I want to thank once again Jessica for coming on. Hey, and the conversation does not have to stop right here on this podcast. You can join the conversation by going to our website at Straight Up Show Podcast 318. Sorry, I just lied to y'all. StraightUpShowPodcast.com. It's STR, the number 8 upshowpodcast.com. There you'll find previous episodes, merchandise, blogs, vlogs, everything that we are doing within our community, Straight Up Show community. We are growing. We're in Tampa, Seattle. We just signed a TV deal in Louisiana, so in Bossier Parish. If you're out there, we're on Southern League Channel 12 every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Make sure you go check us out. That happens on June 15th. If you're listening right now, we have started broadcasting there. All across the world, thank our friends over there in Africa, Australia, New Zealand. Thank y'all so much for the support that you're giving us right now. Shout out to our friends in Nigeria who are going through some things right now. Also, our friends in Ukraine, our prayers and wishes with y'all still to this day. If you want to support our podcast, go to our Patreon page at patreon.com/Straight Up Show Podcast 318. That's patreon.com/Straight Up Show Podcast 318. Until then, there's only one rule to our show. You gotta be
straight up.
All right.